owners. This is Marlo. You already know, owner of the Crafted Pen, and of course, your favorite podcast host. Yes, I have said it again. Before we do anything, I really need you to hit that like button. I need you to subscribe because we are always dropping gems here on Small Business Radio Detroit. And I need to make sure that you guys search me out and follow me, okay? Because this is a movement that we're creating. But most importantly, why are we here today, right? Welcome back to another episode of Small Business Radio Detroit. Again, your host, Marlo. We have real conversations here, right? With real entrepreneurs. We are building, growing, and really helping others to scale their business with purpose and power. So, with that, and when we're thinking about scaling and really getting into those big dollars, this is why we really wanted to hone in on how to get to six figures in your business, right? So today's episode is titled From Hustle to High Income. Okay, this is the real blueprint behind six-figure coaching, right? So if you're an entrepreneur, you're spinning your wheels, you're really trying to get your business off the ground, this is really key for you, okay? Doneesha Elisma is really going to break down how she has been a powerhouse. Excuse me, let me correct that. How she has been a powerhouse, okay, in business coaching, right? She helped entrepreneurs go from stuck and scattered to really being focused and financially successful. She specializes in working with people who have the vision and the passion, but struggle with that strategy to really go to the next level. So her mission is very clear. She really wants to help her clients build legitimate revenue generating businesses that are structured to scale to that six-figure income. So she's not just teaching theory. She literally walked this road herself. She didn't wake up and roll out of bed and decide she wanted to tell somebody else how they should grow their business, right? She was in the position where she was overlooked and needed that clarity that she is going to be providing to us today, right? Her voice was found in the midst of this journey, much like all of ours have been. So today, she coaches others through that same transformation, right? Helping them to align their mindset, their messaging, and really to monetize their strategies to hit consistent 5 and 6 figure milestones. So we're going to be diving deep into what really holds entrepreneurs back. Like why is there visibility but with no value, right? It feels like you're stuck in a trap. So for all the business owners out there who have taken every step and just have hit a wall, before you take that money that you have made and spend it out and allocate it out, take a dive into this podcast. Okay, she's really going to be going over the best practices. So this is no fluff, guys. We're going to get into it with Doneesha today and really talk about these conversations that need to be had. So let's welcome Doneesha, Elisma to the show. We're going to get right into it. Hello, Doneesha. How are you doing today? Oh, I think you on mute, love. Oh, you are okay. Listen.
There we are. Okay. Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Good to have you on. So
Thank
excited
you.
to have this conversation today. This one right here is one of the most this episode to me is literally going to be one of the most valuable because a lot of small businesses right now, especially in this economy and in this
Mhm.
market with inflation, everyone's scared, everyone's in a panic. And if you're not strapped with strategy and really got everything in line for how you're going to get to where you need to go, it's a scary time. So we're super
Yeah,
excited to have you on today to talk
thank
more
you.
about how to go from that hustle to high income, right? We
Yes,
need to
yes,
to the blueprint behind how to get to these six-figure earning incomes.
yes,
But before we get into the strategy, because that's all we want the meat and potatoes, right?
yes, absolutely. Look, I'm here to bring it for you, okay?
Hey, but we cannot have a sandwich without that top and that bottom bun. So we gotta start with your story and really diving into kind of what brings it all together. What has really gotten you into this space? So let me just start off by asking you, what inspired you to become a business coach and how really did your personal entrepreneurial journey begin?
Okay. Well, first, let me say thank you for
Yes.
allowing me, to be here, to be able to share my story. I'm really excited about that. I'm extremely passionate about entrepreneurship, which we will get into.
Yes.
But to answer your question, how I really started out, I have a history in the medical field. I was a medical assistant in dermatology office for years and years. About like I don't want to age myself, but
Yes.
about at that time it was about 9, 10 years.
Okay.
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 And so I had gotten pregnant with
Mm,
my son. My husband and I at the time we were, trying to conceive. And when we did conceive, I found out that I was high risk. And so when I found out I was high risk, they put me on bed rest, literally like my whole pregnancy. Okay. So then when I went on bed rest, obviously I couldn't work or anything like that.
yes.
Now, I had been on a job for years prior to that, probably about 8 years, I want to say. So I had time on the job, I was there faithfully. I
Yes.
had proven my loyalty,
Right.
basically. I was a good employee. So the doctors that I worked for at the time had told me, when you have the baby, you'll have a job here. So
Yeah.
I banked on that. I thought that I would have a job there. Well, when time went on and I had the baby, I didn't have a job there. So I'm like, okay, what's my backup plan?
Right.
What am I gonna do? I From there I went on and I taught medical assistant, and I love that. That's where I learned that I love to teach. Okay, so now keep track of all this because it's a really important lesson in this,
Yeah.
because everything that you do, it basically contributes to your ultimate journey.
Yes.
So there I learned that I love to teach.
Yes.
So I taught for a little while, but the thing that I didn't like about that is, first of all, the pay, it was okay, but it wasn't really, really what I needed it to be. And then also the flexibility in my schedule. Now, mind you, I just had a baby and I wanted more of a flexible schedule. So
Yeah.
then from there, I decided I want to take it into my own hands a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I went to aesthetic school. I'm a master esthetician, a licensed esthetician. I went to aesthetic school, got my license, and I had intentions from the beginning to eventually open up a business. However, my goal was to start out in a doctor's office if that would allow me to. So that way I can get more experience, that'll help to get me to the point of me owning and operating a business.
Right. Getting that client
Well,
filter.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
then the experience of actually running a business,
Yes.
So once I graduated from there, I went and I applied. Now, mind you, I have experience as a medical assistant in dermatology. And now I'm a licensed esthetician, right? You would
Yes.
think that it wouldn't be that difficult for me to get a job. Furthermore, I have never ever had any issues with me ever getting a job. I mean, typically I'm getting hired right on the spot. The
Yeah.
interviews are going well. Well, I applied to so many different jobs. I wasn't even getting interviews. Like they weren't even calling me in.
Yeah.
So at that point, I said, well, if they're not going to allow me to sit at the table, I'm going to build my own table.
Yes.
So from there, I started putting my plan together on me seeing clients and building my clientele as an esthetician. Okay.
Yes.
Throughout the years, that's when I built my aesthetics business. I learned the blueprints of how to build a six-figure income. And then I got to a point where I'm like, okay, I want to be able to teach other entrepreneurs how to get the six-figure income, but at a more accelerated rate. So they don't have to go through everything that I went through, but they
Yeah.
have someone to help them get to that goal a lot quicker.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And I love that. It is really telling. Every single person who has been on the other side in your seat, sitting here telling their story, there's synergy. There's synergy in everyone's story. It is very evident that coming into entrepreneurship is not 9 out of 10 times we were thrown in. We did not come in here by choice. This was
Exactly.
solicited, okay?
Yes.
But we took the hand we were dealt and we made the best of it. And although it turned into something beautiful, when you're just coming into entrepreneurship, 9 out of 10 times, if you haven't just been spoon fed and you're
Right.
inheriting your father or your parents' company, it's almost like you've been in a position in life where you didn't have a choice but to work that business.
Absolutely. And
Yes,
you have to learn like on the go. You're not, privileged or whatever to have that blueprint right before you.
yes,
So there are a lot of learning curves that takes place for sure.
yes, definitely. And I'm thinking about that journey and thinking about coming into entrepreneurship and trying to figure out how to get to that point. What were the biggest turning points that help you kind of go from trying to figure it out to being confident enough to help other people?
So at one point of time, trying to figure it out to help other, so in the beginning, when I was starting my aesthetics business, I didn't really have a mentor. I didn't
Right,
have, I will say that I feel like in some industries, they are a little more competitive. Some people are not as open to give you information or they're not as open to give you help. And that's the stigma a lot of times, unfortunately, in my industry.
right,
I went and I got certified to be a lash artist. And I remember the teacher telling me, if you need any help after this, like I'll help you, I'll do this. Do you know that I called her like a couple of days afterwards? She never answered the phone from there.
well,
So that fueled in me. I want other people to have the help and the knowledge to be able to build their business.
yes,
To me, I feel like it's important to have a mentor. Every mentor needs a mentor.
yeah,
So that was one of the things that kind of really fueled me. I just felt like there wasn't a lot of help. I wanted to be able to provide that help to help other entrepreneurs
yes.
avoid some of the stumbling blocks, like I said, that I have faced to help them get to that six-figure goal or whatever the goal is in their, building their business a lot quicker than what most people do.
Okay, yes, and I love that. I love that because, hey, we have to have a sense of urgency, even more now than ever before, to
Yes.
get our boots on the ground and get working.
Yes.
But most importantly, to make sure that the time and energy that we're putting in is not in vain and it's not
Yes.
wasted. And that's where that strategy comes in. So,
Yes.
speaking about your whole approach as a business coach, what does your coaching framework or philosophy look like for your clients?
So typically what I do is I make sure well, we definitely start with the basics. I need to know the dynamics of their business, their personal goals on which way they want to take their business, because
Yes.
everyone has a different goal. But my primary objective is to teach them obviously the six-figure blueprint, which is to I'll just, tell a portion of it because I can't tell all of it in, one session, but
Of course.
obviously make sure that they understand the six-figure formula. How
Right.
much is it to actually make in one day in order for you to accumulate a six-figure income by the end of the year? It's around
Right.
$273 or whatever a day.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And so what I do is honestly, sometimes we make it a little more difficult than what it is. But if
Yeah.
you take that formula, and what I do is I help them create multiple streams of income. So they're not just within that same business, though.
Yes. Correct.
That's the thing. It's not
Yes.
your hands are over here and your hands are over there. No, it's within that same business, but you have multiple streams of income.
Yes.
And so we come up with the streams of income. And mind you, I've actually used those streams of income myself. So
Yes.
even within that, I have the blueprint on how you're going to create those streams of income and
Yes.
how you're going to work that system. So
Yes.
I make sure that you have the different streams of income. And then within those different avenues, I break everything down. So let's just say, I'll just give you an example. So for instance, I was an aesthetics, I'm an esthetician. I've
Yes.
taught lash extensions before. I've taught other classes. That's a stream of income. One of the things I specialize in is events. I've done events and I've made plenty of money off of events.
Yeah.
All still within the aesthetics arena,
Aesthetics field. Yes.
Then there's retail, and then there are so many different things. But I don't just give you the blueprint. No, I'm going to help you set it up, and we're going to work
Yes.
that system together so that you understand exactly how you're going to generate these streams of income. We put it to work and we go with it. We boots on the ground, okay?
Yes. Hey, hey, hey. But, but no, I'm with you on that point. And it took a while for me in my business. Like you said, this is an accelerated path. The
Yes.
information that you're giving out right now, I didn't find out until year 3 in my business.
Okay.
And
Okay.
when I tapped into the residual income, the
Yes.
passive income,
There's so many different ways for you to generate it. So
you
let me
know,
tell you this,
that
because
I
you
say.
so because you brought up just a little bit even in regards to like
Yes.
what's going on with the economy in my mind frame, and first and foremost, I'm a woman of God and a woman of faith as well, but I just don't feel like the effects of the economy, it just not gonna have any play on me. Like you get focused. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? You see
Yes.
what other avenues that you can take. I'm also really big on using the resources that you have. I have been able to take the clients that I have and create even more resources within just those clients. Like there are so many different strategies on how to build an income.
Right.
I have been able to, and I'm one of those people like you don't always look at the numbers. You want to look at quality.
Yes. Yes.
I've had events and mostly all my events have been successful. Now it's, you have to determine what you want success to look
Hey, I was
like.
going to say, right. Is your
Yes.
how many people came or how many people you had engaged?
Exactly. So at one event I had literally had 4 people. I'm like, this event is going to be a bust. Like I made thousands and thousands of dollars off of 4 people.
Wow.
So those are the type of strategies that I teach my clients.
Yes, definitely. And I had to learn that as well, is the quality over the quantity. Because a lot
Yes.
of times you're like, we think that the way to come up faster is to come in at a real low price and take on
And
50.
then more people.
And that's, you're stretching
Not
yourself
it.
thin. You need so much capacity and operational support to navigate between those 50 people. Whereas if you triple your price and just take on a third of those clients, now you're in a much better.
Less work.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
But that comes down to being confident in the price. Okay, yes. See, listen,
Look, okay.
we unlocking it. We unlocking it. I'm
Yes.
loving it right now. Love it. And so thinking about coaching, again, going back to the market, because we have to, keep that on the forefront of everything
Yes.
to try to give some perspective on how
Mhm.
business owners can move. But what do you think? People are really counting pennies, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Where can I cut back? Where can I cut back? And a lot of times as business owners, we're afraid to invest in professional development. We're like, oh no, that's okay. I'll get back to that later. I'll get back to that later. It gets on the back burner. But honestly, it's like, okay, knowing is half the battle. Knowledge is
Mhm.
power. So if you don't know how to get the 6 figures, stop wasting money trying to figure it out and just
Exactly.
invest into someone who already knows, such as yourself, that can take you
Exactly.
there much faster. We make things so much harder. So if you had to convey your value
Mhm.
to a potential client,
Mhm.
and they're just worried overall about the market, everyone's timid and they're like, well, I don't know, I really just want to make sure I'm putting my dollars in the right place. How would you make that person feel more comfortable with that investment with your company?
Yeah, so and I've been doing that actually a lot lately because
Yes.
I run a couple master classes, and different things like
Yes.
that. So The one thing I try to convey to them or get them to understand the pain that they're in, what they're actually losing at this point. First of all, you're losing time, you're losing money. You really are losing money because, as you said, you're constantly trying to figure things out.
Yes.
Investment, it's a sacrifice. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It is a sacrifice, but the sacrifice is worth it. So if I tell you I'm going to help you build a business where you're creating a six-figure income, even if I told you that the program was a couple $1,000s, think about what you're gaining from
Right.
that. That's nothing. That's not even 10%
Right.
of $100,000. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So in order for someone to really understand the value, they have to really realize what they're missing out on
Right.
and how it's hindering them from going forward. When I like I said, every mentor needs a mentor. I have mentors. I've invested in mentors myself. So I'm not telling anyone to do anything that I haven't done. My
Yes.
first mentor that I invested in, she came in and she looked at my business from the inside out. And I promised you, I probably quadrupled what I was making at the time in a
Yeah.
short period of time
Yeah.
because she just had that experience, you know?
Right. Exactly.
So my thing is getting them to understand the pain that they're in. Do you want to stay in that pain or are you ready
Yes.
to move forward? The other thing is I can't promise you when you're going to make six figures,
Yeah.
but I can give you the blueprint and work with you at so that you can get the six figures at an accelerate. That's the guarantee.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And I love that. I love that approach. And anyone in business right now that is watching this and you're feeling afraid to invest in yourself, you're in the wrong business.
You are.
You're never going to get to where you need to go until you start to, that's why they call it ROI, return on
An
investment.
investment.
You have to
Exactly.
have some skin in the game first
Yes.
get to where you need to go. So we got to get out of this mentality of that spending money is a bad thing and
Right.
that money is going to work for you in the.
Right.
So thank you for highlighting that,
Yes.
really approach that, because even with us working with our clients and consumers and trying to get our clients to see the value, that was a very key point to really highlight what they're struggling with and what
Yes.
new world is going to look like after getting this service. So I know you do a lot of work with people who are struggling to really get their business off the ground, like you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, or they have the business going, they're making money, but they're really struggling to take that thing to the next level. And a lot of times it could be their offering. We kind of talked about
Mm-hmm.
price and how
Yes.
scared to price what we're really worth. But what I've learned as well is that there's a specific funnel. There's a journey that you want to take your customer through before they pay you the high ticket price. There's milestone pieces where you can kind of collect. So can you kind of expand on how clients can build a profitable offer on a product or service perspective?
Yeah, there are so many different ways. I one of the things that I specialize in is networking and teaching
Yes.
networking, and I think that's extremely important. And
Yes.
actually, I love it. I kind of get a joy out of it.
Yes.
But for me, the one of the main things is building relationships.
Yeah.
And there are so many different ways for you to be able to build, quote unquote relationships. Um, and hopefully this answers you clearly, but I'm going to give an example. So there are little tidbits on what you can do to kind of like build upon that. Even if it's as little as one of your advertising or marketing strategies is word of mouth. For
Right.
instance, I had a client to come to me and I asked them, like, how did they find out about me? And they said, well, first they heard something from like one friend that they had.
Yes.
Then they went to the gym and the gym person referred them to me. And
Yes.
then they seen like something that was promoted on social media. And
Yes.
then by the time they had come to me, because all of those seeds were planted, it was
Yes.
kind of very easy for me to sell and work with them. You know what I'm saying? Because they
Yes.
already had the mind frame. The work was already kind of being done. So
Yes.
there are a lot of different ways that little tidbits can be placed in, but that's just one that I could really
Yes.
think of when it comes to like, that aspect of like word of mouth and advertising to
Yes.
get a client to you. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Research shows that it can take up to 15 interactions with a client before they actually give you their
That
money.
that's a
And
lot,
I
isn't
don't know
it?
about you, but I'm too busy to call somebody 15 times. Listen,
Exactly. Or
do it.
sometimes we can't even post on social media that,
Yes,
consistently that much. So,
yes,
yes, I
exactly.
actually heard that recently too. And I was like, oh, wow. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And so that's key, and that's where we get a little bit deeper into talking about systems and processes, right? So,
Mhm.
as the Crafted Pen, specializing in project management, consulting, and RFP proposal writing, I
Okay.
understand the nitty-gritty of processes,
Yes,
automations, really figuring out. Especially as a small business owner, you in the beginning, you're a solopreneur.
you
Until
are.
team, you're wearing all the hats. So
Yes.
to be able to touch base with those clients that many times, and it's just you have to have strong systems. You
Yes.
have strong.
Agreed.
So, are there any specific systems or processes that you recommend to your client to help them to reach that 6-figure level higher?
Yeah, for sure. But I think that it's very kind of specific to the industry. So I
Yeah.
don't just help estheticians. I'm typically women entrepreneurs,
Okay. Okay.
So I guess it just kind of depends. But I know just to name a few, definitely you have to have a great form of contact. How are the clients going to contact you? How can they view some of your work depending on what
Yeah.
your work is? Those things are extremely important because if I don't know if you have an offer out there, but I don't know how to contact you in regards to that offer, that's not going to do me any good.
Right.
And then it just doesn't look professional. It makes you, and especially when we're talking about you want to, provide higher end services, you have
Yeah.
to have those things in order.
Yes.
So, those type of things, I'm real big on trying to make sure, like a lot of times we'll have the back office
Yeah.
together because those
Yeah.
are our skills, but we don't have everything together with the front office.
Yes.
Customer service is big with me,
Yeah.
making sure, like I said, the contact, they know how to contact you, whether it's via email or whether it's by phone call. And then also, if you are like a service provider or something like that, you want to make sure that you have a good scheduling system,
Yes.
making sure that you're able to send out reminders to your clients,
Yes.
different things like that. Contracts. I mean, there's so many different things, but that front office gets looked over a lot
Yes.
more than, yeah, we're skilled. But on the other side of making that 6-figure income, you
Yes.
have to have the look, the feel, the flow of
Yes.
everything together as well. And sometimes it takes time. We
It
don't always have it right.
Yeah.
Yep,
Unfortunately, we don't consider the customer journey until well down the line.
that's true. That's
Yes.
so true. So
So
true.
I agree. I agree with that 100%. Okay, and thinking about, okay, I know me, right? I've had some coaches before, and I can be the problem child, right? So I my coach will give me something to do, and it just takes, I'm just putting that thing off, putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. How do you typically hold your clients accountable? Because I know that can be difficult for small business owners. How do you keep them accountable, either when you feel like they're losing momentum, or they're starting to self-sabotage, or have that imposter syndrome?
Which is really typical. And I think that we've all faced it at one point in time or another.
Yes.
With me, I am a natural encourager. It's one of my gifts. So it comes very natural for me to encourage. I can sometimes kind of feel,
Yeah.
when people are not as involved or they're just not feeling it or whatever. And I do feel like God, sometimes he'll give me things to say, to just kind of like get them back on track.
Yeah.
However, even with that being said, there's still a balance because you still have to be accountable and do the work yourself as
Right.
well. So I try to find that balance, of in between, but pretty much my framework is pretty simple. I'll tell you why. I had joined a coaching program and I had followed this coach for a very, very long time. So I thought that I kind of knew what they were about and all of
Yeah.
that. And as soon as I signed up and got in the program, I was so overwhelmed. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point to where it was like videos over here and homework over here and this and over that. And it taught me that's not what I want for my students. They
Yeah.
need a simple plan to get from point A to Z,
Yeah.
yet effective. So I
Yeah.
don't want to overwhelm anyone. And the other thing is some coaches, they get to a point to where they're not working with you personally, but they have people up under them working with you, where there's nothing wrong with that. For me, I like to work with my clients one-to-one.
Yeah.
I want to know what's going on with them. I want to be able to look at everything at that point and then say, hey, I see this is not working. I suggest that maybe you can try this and try this avenue and maneuver here and that type of thing. So I really do try to keep my format and my framework simple, but yet effective to make sure that they're not overwhelmed. It's easy to understand. They can easily consult with me and we can get to our goal as quickly as possible.
Awesome. Awesome. And what are there any specific indicators, or do you have a vetting process for your clients? Like when you're thinking about taking on new people, how do you know they're really ready to work with you?
Yeah, I do. So usually I'll do like a visionary call with them. So we hop on a call. I need to kind of see like I dive into their business to kind of see like what is the business about, their mind frame. Are they really ready?
Right. Right.
I've had times where if I have to call you all the time, you're not my client.
Right.
You're just not my client. All money is not good money. I'm not just for money. I
Exactly.
want to, my mission is building one six-figure entrepreneur at a time. That's
Right.
my goal.
Right.
So I want to make sure that you really want to be in the program. If
Right.
you don't want to be in the program, there's no point. I can't pull you. I can't drag you. You have to want to do it. So when we're setting up our visionary call, I'm saying how interactive are you? How motivated are you? Which I
Right.
know that there will be times that you won't be as motivated, but I need to see how driven are you? How bad do you want this?
Exactly.
What have you already put into play? Are you really willing to work for it? So
Right.
those are some of the things. And then vibe. Will we work good together?
Yes.
Attitude wise, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Character wise,
Yes.
morally,
Exactly.
are we a good fit? And if we're not a good fit, then I'll say, I don't think that I'm the right coach for you, but maybe you could try someone
Such and
else.
such. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love that because excuse me, I've had some um traumatizing experiences to say the least from
Listen,
taking on, clients that
mm-hmm.
because your heart gets caught up in it and you're stuck and you want to help everybody, but you just can't. Some people will
I feel
literally,
like you have to follow your gut.
yeah,
Like my gut has not. Sometimes I go over that, and then
yes,
I'm like, I should have listened.
yes,
But if it doesn't feel right, then it typically usually ends up. It should have been a no from the beginning.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. And now thinking about the success, because we know coaching is very rewarding outside of the monetary gain to
it is.
contribute it to changing someone's life. So, what's one success story that you can share that still get goosebumps to this day?
Oh my goodness. I actually have a couple of them. I know one of my clients who she kind of started like literally from ground zero.
Yes,
And by the time she was done, she just said that her confidence level was so much higher.
mm,
Her self-esteem, like her being able to approach clients in a way that she had never done before.
yes,
I had taught her how to build clientele. I mean, it was just so many different things things that she learned. And then for some of the other ones, like I got text message, I reached 6 figures this year. Like that's amazing to me. It just makes me feel so good, and it makes it so rewarding. I'm just so passionate about teaching that I just, you feel like you got all this love to give.
Yes.
That's how it
Yes.
is. I have all this education to give, and I just want to put it out there.
Yes. Well, hey, that's the healthcare provider in you. That's that
Yeah.
that's that
Yes.
medical assistant at heart. You are a caregiver, but you're just caregiving in a different way. You're just helping
Yes.
people to care
Yes.
and to take care of not only themselves, but their decision making within their business.
Yes.
So we appreciate you. We value it.
Thank you.
Yes, so many small businesses out here need your support. So please, you guys, if you're tuning in, get with Doneesha. It definitely sounds to me like her program is life changing. So let me ask you, are there any special offers or events or programs that you're currently running that you'd like the viewers to know more about?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So I definitely offer one-on-one coaching. You can always book where I work with you for a period of time, and it's just me and you. We work to build your business. If you would like a consultation in regards to that, you can book a visionary call with me, and I'll give the website in a moment. But
Okay.
you can book a visionary call with me, and we can chit chat, and you can pick my brain. I can pick your brain. So you have that opportunity. The other thing is I'm actually running a master class right now. It is a 5-day master class. It's at the end of the month. It starts May 26th and it runs through the 30th. And
Okay.
it's an intensive class. And it also is going to be strategies on how to build a 6-figure income as well. Okay. So that's a great class, and you can go on the website there. And then the other thing we do in August, I run a conference which is called the 6-Figure Entrepreneur Conference.
Okay.
So it's where a bunch of entrepreneurs we get together. We usually have a panelist of individuals that come, they speak. I usually, like the one year I taught like networking within the conference,
Yes.
and all of the entrepreneurs had an opportunity to really get up. It's not boring. You're not going to be sitting
Yes.
there. It's very interactive.
Okay.
And so they were able to find out who else is in the room. There were a lot of relationships that were built from that.
Yes.
And I mean, the knowledge it was just out of this world. So I'm excited about that. You can actually go on the website there, and you can sign up for the wait list, because there is a wait list. The first year we had 100 people alone. That was just the first year.
Yes.
So there is a wait list, and the tickets actually go on sale June 1st. So once those release, you can purchase your tickets and fill your spot.
And go from there. Awesome.
Yep. And so the actual site that you would go to for all of this information it's stan dot store dot or / Doneesha Elisma.
Okay.
So I'm going to say it one more time.
Yes.
It's stan dot store STORE / Doneesha DONEESHA Elisma ELISMA. And I'll send that to you too, so you can post
Yes,
it.
guys.
Okay.
I will make sure that
Okay.
all of your links, all your social
Yes.
links on in the actual
Okay.
article and description for this video. So
Yes.
we'll make sure they get to you, because honey,
Okay.
out here that need your support. So many
Yes.
here. And I want to welcome you to the Small Business Nation.
Okay.
So they're based out in Atlanta.
Okay.
Um, Owned by J.R. McNair. He's been in the small business consulting field for 22 years. He's hit
Okay.
47,000 entrepreneurs. I
Wow.
time, including me. I'm a product of the service. I'm a product of the service.
Yes.
But full wraparound services
Okay.
from just having from idea all the way through to execution and acceleration, from marketing to pricing setup to operations to website building, logos, flyers. I mean, it's the one-stop shop for small business.
Okay. So I'm interested. So give me that information.
Yes, I'll definitely do that. I'll make sure
Okay.
to follow up with you on that note, because what you're doing is amazing. And
Thank you.
because this is more than just a place for us to come and just kumbaya, right? Like
Right.
we're really trying to create a movement and really build
Yes.
a community.
Yes.
I know best that it takes a village to raise these businesses.
Yes. Okay.
Not these babies, these businesses.
Right.
That's
That
like
part.
babies. But yeah, so we just always welcome that. We would love to, to bring you on. And all the viewers out there, please take a look at Small Business Nation. Again, please visit Doneesha's website, connect with her, do that visualization call or visionary call, I'm sorry.
Yes. Yes.
And really just, write the vision, make it plain. You'd be surprised when you take a step out on faith and take that risk with the right person, how many wonderful and magical things can happen for your business. So
Yes.
we appreciate you again today,
Thank
Doneesha. It was such a
you.
pleasure chatting with you.
Mine as well. I enjoyed it.
Yes, and we'll be touching in soon
Yes.
with you, staying connected.
Yes.
But yes, until next time, I hope you
Okay.
have a wonderful, wonderful day. Continue
Thank
to
you.
transform these small businesses, and we'll be providing some updates for the viewers along the way.
Sounds good. Thank you.